Welcome back to the Law of Happy podcast, where together we crack the code on feeling good and allowing more of what we want into our lives. I'm your host, Lauren Tatner. I'm an attorney, author, wellness arts teacher, and inspirational clown. I'm so excited for you to meet our special guest of today's bonus episode, Carolyn Fe. Carolyn is a Filipino-Canadian, former Montrealer, now based in Toronto, Ontario. She's an award-winning trilingual actress, an award-winning singer-songwriter-lyricist, and playwright. Carolyn is currently the artist-in-residence at Tarragon Theatre in Toronto, and she recently made waves in Teesri Dunya Theatre's Fireworks Playwrights Mentorship Showcase. As a Montrealer myself, I'm excited to share that Carolyn will be in Montreal on May 11th, 2023, as part of Festival Accès Asie to present a public reading, Act 1 of her debut two-act play, Go Fish. Go Fish is about an older woman who becomes a witness to her past as she prepares to die. She separates and compartmentalizes all the women she had been at different stages in her life. In her solitude, she imagines them as women who come together to play the card game Go Fish. The play will be performed in English as a theatrical reading by 5 women over 45. Carolyn wrote the play Go Fish to bring a realistic representation of older women of color to the stage, and in doing so, raises the voices of a demographic continually pushed aside. For tickets, you can check out the link in the show notes. So I met Carolyn years ago through the Montreal theatre community. It was such a joy to reconnect and chat with Carolyn for today's special episode. I'm so inspired by Carolyn for so many reasons. Not only is she an extremely talented artist, but she's so passionate about everything she creates and shares with the world. And you feel that energy and passion. You know it's from the heart and that she's doing what she loves. My chat with Carolyn reminded me about the importance of following your gut, doing what you love, and trusting the universe and the unfolding of your own unique journey. So get ready to be inspired as Carolyn shares her personal journey in the arts, her unique approach that helps her move forward in everyday life, and how she can confidently say that she has no regrets, that even though life has its ups and downs, oh yes, she's happy. Without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Carolyn Fe. Carolyn, welcome. I'm so excited that you're a special guest today on the Law of Happy podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me. This is exciting.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so glad. I'm so excited too. It's so special when I have a personal connection with someone because I remember meeting you years ago. I went out for a general audition for I think it was held at the Centaur Theatre. And it was just like a general audition where people in the acting world were welcome to come to, I think, present a few monologues and just make ourselves known to casting directors and people in the theater community. And so if my memory is correct, I believe that you were one of the judges or one of the people on the panel.
Oh my gosh, that is a long time ago.
Just a few years ago. I have no
Yes.
concept of chronological.
No.
Yes, it was a long time ago. It was.
Oh my.
And I remember being so nervous, just being anxious at first, but then feeling more relaxed because of the energy I felt from the panel. You were all very kind and welcoming, and I was so happy to have met you through that experience. So,
Oh wow.
So thank you for helping me with that experience.
Oh great. I'm glad you did it.
I'm
glad you did it.
Yes. Yeah. Just having met you, it was worth it, and I was glad I did it. Because Carolyn, you're incredible. I don't even know where to begin. It's just unbelievable how many areas of the creative world you are in and are passionate about and are so talented in. You're an award-winning trilingual actress, an award-winning singer-songwriter-lyricist. You're a dancer and choreographer, a published writer and playwright. I'm just fascinated by everything you do because you're talented, but you're so passionate about it all. And I would just love to learn more about your journey, how you got into the creative world, where can we begin?
From the moment I learned to walk, I was put in a ballet class, a dance class. But these lessons that I was gifted with by my parents they were intense. They were of another caliber. They were not and please don't get me wrong, I'm not putting down any type of training, but these were high caliber lessons in professional schools, which I didn't know about then. And then moving to Canada at a young age, where once again, I'm put into ballet classes and art classes and singing classes. And it just became a part of me. School, yeah, I wasn't too good in math, but put me in an English class, in a French class, in an arts class, even chemistry or biology. I'm right there. Just something about the math that didn't compute with me.
I get it.
So that side of the brain, just I figured one day I will hire accountants to do the math for me, right?
Exactly. Yes.
To each their own profession. So throughout high school, I was still going through these arts lessons. And when I graduated, I did go to Dawson College. I did apply for theater. And at the same time, I was still dancing, taking dance lessons on a semi-professional level until I got an offer to go on tour as a professional dancer. So to confess, I am a college dropout, a theater college dropout, because my career took me dancing.
Wow. So you kept following what you were passionate about and
Yeah,
what felt right at the time.
exactly. At the time, I didn't have the words for it, but I was following my gut instincts. I was following what was right for me, regardless of what my parents said. And what they said was doctor, lawyer, teacher, business person. Those are the secure jobs. I did run and operate my own science and technology recruitment company. I did enjoy it, but there was always something missing. And the arts filled me. The arts opened me. The arts helped me with my business because I was dealing with science and technology people, scientists, mathematicians, where, they are creative, but within a box. The arts taught me to show them to remove the box. There is no box. If you want to go beyond, if you want to find that new formula or new program, remove that box. And that's what the arts gave for me. And when finally it happened that I made the decision that to go for theater or music or whatever talent that has been given to me, to use it, I just went for it. A scary thing to do. Corporate life is secure. The paycheck, regular paycheck, the good credit standing with the bank. From that to, I got to depend on myself again. It's just me alone. It was a scary move. I had the support of my partner. I had support from friends, but I still had to make the move. And I have no regrets.
It's so inspiring to hear.
2005 was a turning point for me. I got married in 2005, moved into our new home in 2005. And in 2005, Tisri Dunia Theater in Montreal contacted me because they were looking to fill the 3 roles of a mother for this play called Misoriented. It was written by Nina Lee Aquino, who is now the artistic director at the NAC in Ottawa.
Oh, wow.
For English theater, and Nadine Valasin, who is an executive director here in Toronto for Museum. But then they collaborated to write this story, and they had Tisri Dunia had the hardest time looking for an Asian mother role. I got called into audition. I did it. I was offered the role on the spot. I thought it was just one role, but it was actually 3 roles because there were 3 different daughters I had to mother.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, that was jumping into the frying pan for me. And that was my first step back onto the stage as an actress.
How had it been many years since?
Oh yeah,
okay.
It would have been at least 15 years that I had pushed away the stage.
Wow.
Purely in corporate and science and recruiting and HR. And It was all that.
That's amazing. So how did they find you?
My sister was, I have a sister, very young, much younger than I am. She was offered a role to be one of the daughters. And so I think she asked our mom, but mom wasn't an actress. So she asked me. There's 15 years difference between me and my sister. So technically on stage, I could look like her mom.
Yeah, and with makeup and stuff.
Yeah. So she called me and she says, they're looking for a mother figure. Can you just audition so we can just get this off and start rehearsals? And we did.
That's amazing. And I have another question, because I asked you, like, how did they practically find you? Like, but I wanted to know, before you got the call to, or before that you were going to audition for this, had you started to think that you would love to be back on stage? Had anything started to go on in your... Okay, because I always believe that everything starts with a thought, and we put something out there and then
things happen. There's no such thing as coincidence. So another thing, again, in 2005, I was recruiting for a software company, and I was interviewing this gentleman who had just come from France, PhD, high caliber science stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then in my interviews, I always ask, what do you do when you close your office door? After 5 o'clock, let's say, what do you do? And he says, you know what? I miss music. He says, in France, he had a band, was semi-professional. They had a lot of gigs. And now that he's moved to Canada, he doesn't know anybody. He needs to find a job. He tinkers with his guitar in his basement, but that's not enough. He missed the stage as well. So I don't know what happened to him. I said, I'll sing for you. Let's do it.
Wow.
So we started. So my first band with him was technically, it was called DD Swank. He wrote the songs, I sang them, with the promise that we would have more original songs, because with all due respect to cover songs, they're out there. There's many people who do them well. I'd like to let them have that stage. I prefer to do original songs that come from the heart, from me, to be offered. But somehow his work didn't allow for more creativity. And at the time, I wasn't secure yet in writing. Not at all. I was just stage performer. I'll direct me and I'll give you what you want. But as time went, that band lasted, I think, 4 years. As time went, towards the end of that band, I started writing on the side.
Like writing songs?
Songs.
Okay.
Yeah, writing songs. We were already gigging. We had the odd gig here and there. Still rough on the edges. And then I met up with another musician who was well-versed with the Montreal scene. And boom, the blues started. An album came out. And then at the same time, I started my theater company, Altera Vitae Productions. I started producing theater shows, Night Mother. At the time, Pat Donnelly from the Gazette was there, and she gave us rave reviews. I think in the span of 2.5 years, I produced 4 theater shows.
Wow.
But Montreal or Quebec is a special beast. All the money, all the funds were right out of my pocket. I did not receive grants. Although I applied, I never received grants, never received support from the city, the province. So funds were tight. And before digging heavily into my savings, I thought, whoa, I love what I'm doing, but eventually something's got to give, something's got to change. I stopped producing. I was acting for other companies. I got a residency at the House of Jazz, which lasted 10 beautiful years until the pandemic hit.
Okay.
The Montreal, the Montreal House of Jazz, the flagship.
Wow.
They closed during the pandemic.
Mm.
And just kept going on and on. The move to Toronto, I'm here. I haven't stopped. I'm a full-time working actor, writer. I am now an artist in residence at Tarragon Theatre. They're developing one of my plays.
That's incredible. That's amazing. I'm so
It's,
excited for you.
I don't know what happened, Lauren.
I want to, we have like, okay, I'm so excited for you, but it sounds like you keep following what
my
feels right for
guts.
you. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And following what, yeah, your gut and doing what you love. And I know that things, there are ups and downs and stuff, but
Oh, yes.
overall, it's you're passionate about what you're
I'm
doing.
passionate about the art. I'm passionate about sharing the art. I'm passionate about putting message in my art and putting it out there for people to take or not take. We can't please everybody. Some don't like what I'm writing, and that is fine, as long as they know where they stand when they're in front of my art. That means I've touched them.
Mm.
I have not left people indifferent with my art. And that's, I think, a gift. It's priceless.
Yes. Can you tell us a bit more about the art that you're focusing on and the messages that you share?
Oh my. I call it my banners. One of my banners is to elevate the presence of older women on stage. Older people, we have stories, men, women, people of color, we have stories. Rarely do we see them on stage. Why? Because the industry is very youth oriented. When the industry says at 45, that's it. 45 is young.
Yes.
45, we're just breaking into our stride.
Right.
And to say that's old, I'm sorry. So that's one of the banners I have that I'm waving. So a lot of my plays, the actors that'll play in my shows will be those who are 45 and over, ideally 50 and over. So that's one. The other things are to elevate the presence of those who are marginalized. And I know that's a big word, marginalized, whether you're a person of color, whether you have invisible disabilities, visible disabilities as well. Anybody who has been cast aside has to have a voice. I want them up front and center as well. That envelopes a lot of stories, a lot of success, a lot of strife and successful stories that are not necessarily happily ever after, but stories that show sometimes it's just that hard. Sometimes it's worth it to go through, so that in the end, one day when you look back, you'll be laughing at it. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I want. Yeah.
Oh, I'm just, yeah, excited for you because you're doing what you love. You're sharing such powerful, important messages and bringing things up and out to be acknowledged and spoken about and understood and represented. And it's just so important and so inspiring and important for so many reasons. And everyone has challenges, but like you said, we can then get to an even stronger, empowered place. And we can,
Yes.
like you said, laugh.
Yeah.
You just said, I know that I use laughter as a form of exercise to feel better, but I'm like, I heard you correctly. Yes.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
you did.
okay.
To look back and remember that time when you were having such a hard time thinking you're never getting it out of it. And then now, fast forward to the future, you look back and you go, I did that.
Yes.
It's okay. It was hard then, but I'm here. And all those accumulated experience make it so that the universe takes care. Just trust.
Yes.
Don't give up. Trust. If this morning was hard to get out of bed, then it's hard to get out of bed. But you got out of bed. Come at the end of the day, you look at what happened this morning and say, that was it? I just couldn't get out of bed. Well, between, I don't know, 7 a.m. till 10 at night, when you look in between, that there was a lot of action going on there. And it all started because you didn't want to get out of bed.
And I wanted to ask you, because I'm always curious to hear what works for people, because everyone's different and there are so many different techniques and tools. And I just love adding things to my own toolbox of ways and practices to feel some relief or feel better or feel good, and to just lift my energy up. And so I'm just wondering if you have a favorite or go-to practice in your own life.
Yeah, now it's so ingrained in me. It happens really fast. It's automatic. But if I can break it down, everything I do is triaged into 2 compartments. Is it important or is it urgent? If it's important, okay, I'll do it later. If it's urgent, it's because it has something to do with where I want to be when I grow up. So that urgent thing has to be done now. Let's go back to trying to get out of bed.
Okay.
So it's this morning. I'm having a hard time to get out of bed. I ask myself, what do I have to do today that is urgent? And go through the list of things to do. And if there's nothing urgent, I stay in bed. Because all these important things will eventually become urgent. But if there is something urgent to do, something that will bring me to the place where I want to be when I grow up, I get out of bed. So that's how I break it down. Now it's automatic. This morning, it was really gray out here in Toronto. It was gray. And one of those days, you really don't want to get out of bed. And I'm looking there and I didn't sleep much. And I'm thinking, should I stay? Should I stay? No, I want to continue writing. I was at the peak of my story last night with what I was writing. I'm not going to let that go because I was in the zone. That's urgent. Because I have a specific objective with this story I'm telling. And if I put it into the important section, something else will be urgent. And this might be pushed down.
So I love this. I've never heard it broken down this way, and it's very interesting and helpful. And I'm excited to try this, break it down this way for myself. And I just wanted to ask you, so when you're thinking, okay, is there anything urgent, and then you're remembering that you were in the zone previously about writing, are you then able to feel some excitement or some relief because you're like, oh, that makes me feel good and I want to get back into that?
Oh, so yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Because when I remember that I was in the zone, I was really focused and the words were flowing and the story was making sense and my fingers were going so fast. I thought, oh, yes, typing, and the ideas kept going. And I had to stop because the body was tired. It was saying, go to sleep, go to sleep. Finally went to sleep at, I think, 6 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
Which ended up to be a nap because I guess my brain woke me up and said, oh, this part with this character, you got to tell that part. So I got up again and I started writing again, and I'm back in that zone, and it's exciting. You go to what is urgent and you visit what is important. And in the important, things will get urgent, things will remain important. So every detail on your task list does get looked at, we do take action on it. Either we say, this is no longer important enough, thank you, goodbye. And then we move on. It's a system. It feels like a system of working, but for a creative, it's organized.
And it can make things feel less overwhelming or more manageable because you're like, okay, that's important, but that can get done later. Can't do everything all at once because it can be so overwhelming to think of everything all at once. So I like how you break it down and then trust that that'll get done later. That's okay.
You've been on stage, right? You
Right.
know how long 60 seconds can feel when you're waiting for your cue. It feels like an eternity. So when you're working on your urgent stuff, your minutes get extended and you feel you have time.
I like that way of thinking and feeling. Yes.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we can get stressed because we're like, oh my gosh, running out of time, or I don't have time. But yeah, we can, no, I like how you think.
Yeah.
To remind ourselves that we do have time, and the minutes, like you say, get extended, and we
Yeah.
can make the most of our time. And this is an efficient, productive system that takes the stress off of seeing everything all at once.
Yeah.
And then you have the time. Trust that you have the time, and everything will just flow and get done.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that and breaking it down for us. So Carolyn, I just like I want to keep hearing about everything, but your singing and your music. I would love to hear more about
The
music for
singing.
you.
There's one thing, when I started writing my songs and I started performing it, and with my residency at the House of Jazz, that's 10 years. That's a long time. I thought I was going to be bored with my own words. I thought, but just like analyzing a script for theater or for a TV show or for a movie, it depends on how the words are delivered. And that's one thing I discovered about performing as a singer, whether it be my words or someone else's words. I check in with myself to see, okay, tonight I'm having a concert, a singing gig. How do I feel? I check in with how do I feel and connect that to the words that I will be interpreting on stage. So every time I do the same friggin' song, it comes out differently.
Okay, so you connected to how you are feeling in that evening or that
Yeah,
moment or period. Okay, and that's how the
exactly.
words come out, and then it'll
It
evolve or
just
change.
it just changes. You put a different emphasis on a different word,
Right.
and it just comes out differently. And also, there's one thing about live performance in theater and or music. I like to feel the room before stepping on the stage, so I like to peek out to get the vibe of the people out there, of the audience. And then if they're quiet, okay, might be tired, so I might need to give them a little extra push. Where is that in me today? Where did I have that? And I go on stage and I give it to them. So by the end of the show, they are uplifted as well.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. You're really a special being and performer because, like the emotion that you feel and embody and that we feel in the audience, it's powerful. I'm also fascinated with how you were able to tap into a wide range of emotions. And have you always been in tune with how you were feeling and able to access that? Because I feel a lot of people have difficulty with I think being maybe aware of how they feel, like suppressing emotions, and then if they do acknowledge the emotions, how do they work through them? And I know this is a big topic, but have you always been able to check in and
No. I think it was when I turned 50 that I realized I need to get in touch with myself, to trust my instincts, to trust that everything will be all right. I think it happened when I was in my early 50s. I'm not hiding, I'm 61 now. I'm going to be 62 this year. So it's it's new. It's 10 years-ish. And prior to that, yes, it was instinctive, but there was something technical and mechanical about it. I want to be an actor. I want to do this. Therefore, I have to do that. It was mechanical, and there were signs coming from everywhere to trust my instinct, but I was still in that teenager mode of, no, this is how they did it this way. I got to do it that way. But everybody has their own path. And it dawned on me, literally dawned on me at age 50 something or whatever, that no, this is my path and I must trust what's good for me.
yeah, exactly. And That's so important to hear too, that everyone is on their own unique journey. I always remind myself not to compare any part of anyone else's journey to my own. Everyone has their own unique journey, and to just keep trusting that everything will keep unfolding.
Yes.
Like you've expressed, like we keep learning and evolving as we go along. And that's why I love these chats, because no matter who we are or what we have learned or practice or teach, we're all human, we're always learning. And I love to learn with other people and from other people. I've been so inspired by everything that you've shared and everything that I've seen over the years. And so this has been such an honor to talk with you and to have you as a guest. And I want to ask you, Carolyn, if it's one of my favorite questions that's not really a question, but is, I'll explain. If there's a question that I didn't get a chance to ask you, I didn't think of asking you, but would have been a good thing to ask you, what would it be, or what would your answer be? And guess what I mean by that is there anything that you would like to share for this session together?
I think it's something what your grandma asked you. Are you happy? And my answer to that today, in where I am at my age, is, oh, hell yeah, am I happy? I am. It's not perfect, but yeah, all the hardships I've been through, because I gave allusion to sometimes some things are no longer important and you have to cut it out of your life. And that's not easy to do, but it's for our own mental health, our own spiritual health, that we need to take care of ourselves so that we can give.
Exactly.
Despite those cutting off, despite those hardships today, I'm happy.
I'm so
thanks to your grandma's question.
I appreciate you tying that in, because it was such a powerful catalyst and experience that I had with my grandmother when she asked me if I'm happy. And that was the last conversation, or the last time I spoke to my grandmother. And you mentioned this as well. It's not about being happy all the time. And it doesn't mean that everything is going or has to go perfectly and all the time. It doesn't. And that's okay. That's normal. But it's just, I think what that question allowed me to do was just reflect and to pause and ask myself, am I at peace with, or am I satisfied with how my life is unfolding now? And how am I choosing to make decisions? Is it because it feels right for me, or is it for some
social pressure or whatever? Right. We forget to ask ourselves that, Are we happy?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I know that before, that was in 2006 when I was 26, when my grandmother asked me that. And I got right away choked up, because I was like, whoa, that I hadn't even tuned in and asked myself that. So I couldn't even answer her. I said, because I was just going to start crying, and I didn't want to scare her or me or my father, who was driving the car at the time. I'm so happy for you. I'm so inspired when I hear that that people are following what feels right for them and doing that. The world is fortunate because you're sharing your gifts and so many incredible, important things with the world, and you're doing it because it's what you're passionate about and love. And so
it's from the heart. That's for sure. If it wasn't from the heart, I wouldn't be happy.
Exactly.
I'd be doing something else.
Yeah. So I'm just so happy for you and inspired by hearing this. It gives me energy, and it's just so inspiring to hear, and it's beautiful.
And I'm glad you're doing this. I'm glad you're reaching out to so many other people to share their experience. We need to hear this online, on air, wherever, on the socials. We need to hear stuff like this. There's so much happening out there. And fine, if it's part of the process, we don't need to hear all the time the bad stuff. We need uplifting stuff now and then. And it's good. I'm so happy you reached out to me and to have this moment together after all these years.
I'm so happy that you were so open to this, and thank you for sharing what you shared, and thank you for being here. I'm so excited, and it's just so meaningful for all the different reasons that we discussed. So, thank you so much, Carolyn. Oh, and I want to ask you, where can our listeners and viewers find you or follow you on social media, or connect with you and see any of your shows or events?
Social media, I'm very active on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, the Carolyn Fe. All in one word. You can find me there, or Google my name, Carolyn Fe, and you'll see I'm very active out there. Now, as far as performance, because of my artist in residence, I'm behind the scenes. I'm writing, I have 7 works in progresses right now. And a lot of my work, at least for 2023, is back behind the scenes. But you can find me on television. I play Blues Clues grandma. Josh, the new Blues Clues host, I'm his grandma. I don't know. I can't. There's so many projects that I've done here in Toronto. I'm out there somewhere on TV, commercials. All of a sudden I'll pop up in a commercial, and that's me saying hi to you.
That's amazing. We're going to have all of the links in the show notes so people will have different ways to find you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. Thank you for being you and for having been a guest, and so happy to have reconnected with you. And I look forward to
hope to see you in person.
Yes, I hope so too. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll speak soon.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care. Thank you for having tuned into this Law of Happy episode. If you smiled, laughed, or felt inspired, please subscribe, rate, review, and share the Law of Happy podcast with someone you'd love to have fun with. And if you'd like to laugh with me as a guest on the show or in a customized program, you can email me at lauren@lawofhappy.com. I look forward to laughing with you soon.